Welcome back to Sped Up News, your source of daily live streams on top celebrity and entertainment legal battles. We are live tonight covering the full timeline of the Rachel Leviss versus Ariana Madix and Tom Sandoval lawsuit. I noticed in looking at other YouTube videos that there doesn't seem to be a comprehensive video that covers all of the filings that have come down in this case so far. We have the February 2024 complaint of Rachel Leviss that started this whole drama. Then we also have next Tom Sandoval moving to strike certain portions of the complaint. He also filed a demurrer stating that Rachel Leviss did not meet the elements of a claim. And then also Ariana filed this anti-SLAPP motion. And then we have the order that resulted after a July 11th hearing. And then we also have the most recent controversy that was the cross complaint that Tom Sandoval had filed against Ariana Madix, but then later reneged and claimed it was just an accident, that he was not aware that his counsel had filed it. So I want to take you through all of the details of these filings, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer the comments. I try to answer each one. And also subscribe to our channel because we come to you live every day with legal filings. They're actually the publicly filed legal documents in these celebrity cases. We walk through them in detail so that you have a comprehensive understanding of what has all led us up to this point where Tom Sandoval is now saying that he's going to be representing himself in the lawsuit that was filed against him by Rachel Leviss. So this all started, friends, back in February of 2024 with a complaint that was filed by Brian Friedman, and he is actually a very well-known lawyer. Brian Friedman is known for representing certain notorious and also non-notorious individuals in Bachelor Nation. So he has experience representing individuals in reality TV world. He's also represented a number of celebrity well-known clients. So his law firm represents Rachel Leviss. And back in February of 2024, Brian Friedman, on behalf of Rachel Leviss, filed a claim in the Superior Court of the State of California, County of Los Angeles, that was claims for eavesdropping, also for revenge porn, invasion of privacy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. They did demand a jury trial, which is very standard to do in civil litigation. I have handled cases that were filed in the Superior Court of Los Angeles County when I was practicing at a national law firm. So I am familiar with the California Civil Rules of Civil Procedure. So here we go, friends. We talk here about the preliminary statement, and Brian Friedman, Rachel Leviss's attorney, is very, very good at telling a narrative. He states that plaintiff Rachel Leviss is a former cast member on Vanderpump Rules, a reality television show produced by Evolution, Bravo, and NBC. This case arises from a scandal of epic proportions starting in March of 2023, stemming from an affair between Leviss and another cast member, Tom Sandoval. Scandoval, as it came to be known, went viral and was the subject of extraordinary press coverage, even in the mainstream media. And that is true. As we remember, we were seeing CNN coverage about Scandoval. Sandoval injected new life into a previously faltering series, causing its viewership to explode to unseen levels and making its cast members mega celebrities. Due to a narrative deliberately fermented by Bravo, Evolution, and the cast, Leviss became an object of public scorn and ridicule. To be clear, Leviss has repeatedly acknowledged that her actions were morally objectionable and hurtful to Madix. She has offered numerous apologies. There's more to the story, however. Lost in the mix was that Leviss was a victim of the predatory and dishonest behavior of an older man who recorded sexually explicit videos of her without her knowledge or consent, which were then distributed, disseminated, and discussed publicly by a scorned woman seeking vengeance, catalyzing the scandal. Oh, the way that he's describing Ariana. Leviss ultimately checked herself into a mental health facility and remained there for 3 months while Bravo, Evolution, and the cast milked the interest that her excoriation, oh my, they're pulling out the dictionaries, had peaked. And remember, friends, there was this whole dispute between Rachel Leviss and Bravo about her wanting Bravo to pay for her treatment in the mental health facility. So this complaint that Leviss filed goes on to say, to make matters worse, Leviss was misled by Bravo and Evolution into believing that she was contractually barred from speaking out about her mistreatment. As a result, she suffered in silence as Bravo and Evolution watched viewership explode, and the rest of the cast enjoyed unseen levels of public recognition and professional opportunity. Meanwhile, Leviss, who was humiliated and villainized for public consumption, remains a shell of her former self, with her career prospects stunted and her reputation in tatters. Wow, in tatters, friends. Her reputation's in tatters. Okay, so moving on, we talk about the parties, most of whom we know. Rachel Leviss goes on to state, having taken the time necessary to heal mentally and emotionally, Leviss brings this action at long last, to attain a measure of justice that has so far eluded her. Plaintiff Rachel Leviss is, and at all times, an individual residing in the county of Los Angeles, state of California. The defendant is Sandoval. The co-defendant is Ariana Madix. And then they name Jane and John Doe's 1 through 50, which are individuals who have not been identified yet. And that is a very common practice in civil procedure, is to name these unknown John Doe and Jane Doe defendants so that you can always reserve the right to bring in other unknown parties into the litigation at a later time. Jurisdiction is the next portion, where they state the California court is appropriate for this action and that Los Angeles County is the appropriate place, as the parties have sufficient contact with that particular venue to justify bringing this action in that venue. Now, additionally, the complaint then sets forth her side, Rachel's side of the story, essentially. So the most important thing to know is that when attorneys are setting up these claims and they are making their case to the court, they have to set forth the background, and they want to do it in a easily understandable to laypersons who may or may not be familiar with Vanderpump Rules, or who may or may not be familiar with the particular facts of the case. Although in this case, Sandoval just blew up and was so huge and was in the mainstream media, it would be hard to imagine a judge that had not heard about this scandal, but you never know. So the general allegations, Rachel Leviss's attorney state, the hostile and unsafe working environment on Vanderpump Rules. This case centers on Vanderpump Rules, a reality television series that premiered on Bravo in 2013. The series revolves around the staff at Lisa Vanderpump's restaurants in West Hollywood, Sir Restaurant and Lounge, Pump Restaurant, and Tom Tom Restaurant and Bar. And now, of course, we know Pump, I believe, is closed down. There is no longer a Pump. Vanderpump, a British restaurateur and former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member, is the central figure of the series. I don't know about that. She's not really on this Vanderpump Rules that much. I wouldn't say that Lisa Vanderpump is the central figure of the series, which focuses on her employees' drama-filled personal and professional lives. The show has aired continuously for over a decade, and its 11th season premiered on January 30th of 2024. Leviss was a cast member on Vanderpump Rules from 2016 to 2023. Leviss made her first appearance on the show as the girlfriend of cast member James Kennedy, a DJ prone to violent outbursts and grappling with long-standing substance abuse issues and emotional dysregulation. Wow. So number one, it's very ironic. This was Rachel Leviss's complaint was filed in February of 2024. And there have been allegations that Rachel Leviss has talked about publicly about alleged abuse and domestic violence that she alleges that James Kennedy inflicted upon her. And now, as we know, James Kennedy is in the news because he was recently arrested for allegedly putting his hands on his current girlfriend, Allie. So it's interesting how everything seems to come full circle here. So Kennedy would regularly berate Leviss, falsely accuse her of cheating, and act in a generally unhinged manner. So some of this was captioned on camera, some was not. Leviss eventually warned Kennedy that she would leave him if he did not stop drinking. However, she soon learned that his despicable behavior was not solely a function of alcohol abuse. At Thanksgiving with Leviss's family in Arizona, Kennedy erupted at Leviss's mother and father and kicked her family dog 4 times in an uncontrollable rage. Oh my heavens. That's really, if that's true, that's wow. So now she's alleging animal abuse in addition to outbursting at her mother and father. And Rachel did speak about that on the Bethany Frankel podcast, the 3-part series that she did with Bethany. So then she goes on to state that as early as the fall of 2022. So indeed, in December of, so in 2021, Leviss ended her relationship and broke off their engagement. And I actually remember that she broke off the engagement on the reunion. There was a reunion show for Vanderpump Rules, and Leviss essentially just, James and her announced that they were splitting up, and then she handed back the engagement ring on camera, which I thought was a little bit hard to stomach. So moving forward, her complaint states that Leviss ended her relationship, broke off their engagement. Kennedy's history of violent and dangerous behavior was well known by Bravo, Evolution, and the cast, which again is interesting because he's currently facing domestic violence charges. Kennedy once physically assaulted then cast member Kristen Doute on camera. The footage, however, never aired. Oh, Kristen Doute did speak out about that on her podcast, because Kristen has a podcast as well. So she felt like the producers were protecting James Kennedy by not airing certain footage. Nor has Kennedy faced any repercussions for his actions, which would otherwise be fireable, at a minimum, due in part to the intervention of his powerful ally, Lisa Vanderpump, who has served as his protector. In 2021, after 3 seasons as a recurring character, Leviss was cast as a lead. At the same time, however, Leviss was in a vulnerable state due to the breakdown of her engagement with Kennedy, which was catalyzed by his chronic substance abuse, emotional instability, and controlling behavior. While she had previously moderated her alcohol intake because of Kennedy's heavy drinking, Leviss began drinking much more heavily in the aftermath of her breakup with James. Leviss was encouraged to do so by production and Sandoval, who believed it would make for better television and readily provided alcohol for her consumption. That's interesting. So Brian Friedman, Leviss's lawyer, is kind of going after Bravo, saying that they created this hostile, inappropriate work environment, and that they were fueling her and giving her easy access to alcohol, regardless of what her mental health may have been. So by season 10, James Kennedy had resumed drinking again and picked up a new girlfriend weeks after his breakup with Leviss. All of this caused untold harm to Leviss's mental health, inducing her to drink more and leaving her vulnerable to what followed. Leviss began confiding in Tom Sandoval, a former bartender at SUR and a cast member since the show's first season. Sandoval had been in a relationship with another cast member, Ariana Madix, since 2014. So, imbibed and emotionally raw, Leviss began to rely heavily on Sandoval for emotional support. Sandoval, in turn, began confiding in Leviss about the dire state of his relationship, describing it as a business partnership and casting its end as foregone. However, nonetheless, Madix and Sandoval had been living together in Valley Village, Los Angeles. On or about August 10th, 2022, Leviss and Sandoval began sleeping together. The affair continued apace as Sandoval's relationship with Madix further deteriorated. Although purportedly secret, the affair was in fact well known to many cast members and suspected by others. Wow, that's a hefty allegation. She's claiming that certain cast members knew about it. And I think that that was true with respect to Tom Schwartz, and also Joe, the girl that Schwartz was hooking up with at the time that this affair was going on, but I don't know about the other cast members. Leviss and Sandoval were not particularly discreet. Leviss is informed and believes, and on such information and belief alleges, that Madix knew about it as early as the fall of 2022. So I do recall when Leviss filed this, there was so much fury about the fact that she was alleging that Ariana had known about this affair. And there was some indications on the reunion that, people were questioning Ariana, like, wouldn't this have raised a red flag to you? And Ariana gave some very appropriate responses on the reunion, saying, well, you know what? If I ask my partner, Tom Sandoval, of 9 years, whether or not there's something going on, and he tells me no, then I believe what he says. That was Ariana's response. So indeed, in December of 2022, the complaint goes on to say, Madix scolded Leviss and Sandoval for being handsy in public, admonishing them to save the story for season 11. At the time, Vanderpump Rules was facing an uncertain future. Interest among the public had waned and the plot had gone stale. Madix in particular was reportedly on the chopping block. So that's interesting. They're alleging that Ariana Madix was going to be cut from the show. In the absence of a sticky news storyline, there's every reason to believe Vanderpump Rules would have been canceled. I don't know about that because Vanderpump Rules has not been canceled now. They're doing a season 12 where they have a rebooted cast. So the show probably would not have been canceled. It could have been rebooted, but just like it has been now. But Leviss's complaint goes on to say, Madix was as aware of these pressures as Sandoval, and both were heavily invested financially and reputationally in the show remaining on the air. By extension, if their relationship was already on the rocks, and if Sandoval was intent on brazenly carrying out an illicit affair with another cast member, they had every incentive to leverage these salacious threads into the storyline Vanderpump Rules so desperately needed. That is precisely what happened in a series of otherwise unlikely events. I do not believe that part one bit. And honestly, I feel that Brian Friedman, by putting that in the complaint, may have taken it a step too far because, if anything, in the years that we've watched Ariana Madix, she has been raw on camera. She has been vulnerable. She has talked about her sensitivities about and self-consciousness about her body image. She has talked about having depression and even having had suicidal thoughts. She has talked openly about that and shared and opened up her life. So I do not agree with the way this is portraying her, that she in some way would kind of play to a storyline, go along with this affair if she allegedly knew about it. I don't believe that. I believe that everything that we've seen on our screen shows that she's been very loyal to Tom Sandoval over the 9 years they were together, that she was very much in love with him. She was ride or die for him. And I'm not trying to be Ariana Stan, but I'm just saying, like, there's a disconnect here between how they're portraying her and what's in this complaint, which, is standard in legal complaints. It can differ. This is Rachel Leviss's perspective. This is Rachel Leviss's side of the story, and she is entitled to speak the narrative, and set forth a narrative in her legal filing that she believes. So the next part of the complaint says, Sandoval and Madix record and distribute illicit videos of Leviss. On or about March 1st, 2023, Sandoval was performing with his cover band at Tom Tom in West Hollywood when his phone purportedly fell from his pocket and slid, unlocked or otherwise fully accessible, into the crowd. It was reportedly retrieved by an attendee and handed over to Madix, who searched it and found sexually explicit videos of Leviss. Leviss is informed and believes, and on such information and belief alleges, that the explicit videos were recorded by Sandoval without her knowledge or consent in or around February of 2023. The 2 videos Leviss has seen depict her in a state of undress and masturbating. However, given Sandoval's apparent practice of secretly recording their video calls, Leviss has every reason to assume there are additional illicit videos and or photographs of her that she has not seen yet. Leviss is informed and believes that Madix obtained at least 2 illicit videos of Leviss and distributed them and or showed them to others without Leviss's knowledge or consent. At a minimum, Madix circulated the illicit videos to herself and Leviss. Because we know about this. We know that even Ariana, I believe, has said that she did send the videos to herself as proof, and then she sent them to Leviss with a text saying, like, "You're dead to me," or something of that nature. She also immediately informed production about what she had found. In addition, many other individuals have demonstrated intimate familiarity with their contents, leading Leviss to believe the circle of recipients is wider. Then the complaint goes on to state Leviss battered after Madix steals and sends illicit videos. So they're saying that Leviss was battered. So on the night of March 1st, Leviss was in New York with another cast member, Sheena Shea, taping Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. Having finished filming, Leviss and Shea were at a bar when Leviss received a text from Madix, "You are dead to me." Alongside the message were the 2 videos of Leviss that Madix had purportedly discovered on Sandoval's phone. So let's make sure. Yes, so she had had discovered on Sandoval's phone. Leviss experienced a swirl of emotions in response, including shock and fear. Shock because she did not know Sandoval had recorded pornographic videos of her. Fear because these videos were now in the hands of someone who hated her guts and was out for blood. She was terrified that Madix would leak them on the internet, which is a reasonable fear in this day and age. Not that Ariana would do that on purpose necessarily, but if there's dissemination of videos of this nature, it certainly is possible that they could leak. Reacting to the revelation in apparent shock and anger, Shea violently assaulted Leviss, shoving her aggressively into a brick wall, punching her in the face, and throwing her phone into the street. The blow to Leviss's face caused a rupture above her left eyebrow and severe swelling and bruising above her left eye. Leviss was told by a treating physician that her busted brow would permanently scar. Shaken, Leviss flew home the next day and informed her family of what was happening. Leviss's complaint goes on to state Bravo and Evolution capitalize on Sandoval and cover up defendants' illegal acts. News of the affair and its aftermath, dubbed Sandoval, broke on March 3, 2023, when TMZ first reported on the affair. This initial reporting was quickly followed by a torrent of follow-up stories. By March 4th, tabloids had already begun reporting on the pornographic videos of Leviss, citing unnamed sources. Although filming for season 10 had already wrapped, Bravo and Evolution had a camera crew ready to shoot the next day. And I do remember on the various podcasts, Ariana talked about this, that the cameras were picked back up. I think the affair was discovered by Ariana on like a Wednesday, and then cameras were back on like Friday morning. So it was really quick that they picked cameras back up. The complaint goes on to say that Sandoval captured the public's attention in a massive way, went completely viral, and injected new life into Vanderpump's rules. It also caused mayhem in Leviss's life, culminating in months-long inpatient treatment at a mental health facility and her departure from the show. Fomented by Bravo and Evolution in conjunction with the cast, Leviss was subjected to a public skewering with little precedent and became, without exaggeration, one of the most hated women in America. On March 4th, 2023, the day after news of the affair had broken, production directed Leviss to film with Sandoval at her Los Angeles apartment. With cameras rolling, Leviss confronted Sandoval for secretly recording pornographic videos of her and storing them unprotected on his phone. Sandoval had not only invaded her privacy and breached her trust, but had also left her enormously vulnerable to a nightmare scenario of the videos leaking on the internet. Sandoval responded to Leviss's fury with cowardice and lies, claiming falsely that he had obtained permission to record her. Seeing that Leviss was having none of it, however, Sandoval ultimately offered a reluctant admission and a sleepish apology. Sandoval was clearly rattled. After filming ended, an erratic and unsettled Sandoval refused to leave Leviss's apartment in spite of her requests. Leviss was forced to have her sister and brother-in-law pick her up and drive her to their home. That day, Leviss retained an attorney to mitigate the risk of the illicit videos leaking. Once at her sister's house, however, Sandoval ultimately offered